I see. Seeing 1989 says, seeing Melo with CP3, LeBron, and Wade has Melo fallen into kind of being a bust or one of the most overrated players ever, considering how he was seen on the same level as LeBron. I don't think he was ever really seen on the same level as LeBron. I think he was always the second, thought to be like the second best guy. And then over time, we realized that was actually Wade from that draft. But I definitely think that with the success of LeBron and Wade, and the way that like Chris Paul has aged better than him, even though he doesn't have any championships either. But the fact that he's aged better than Melo, and just in terms of being able to stick on a team, the fact that Melo is like the same age as LeBron, and he literally was out of the league this year because nobody wanted him. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if that's 100% true. I saw reports that Melo had gotten offers to play on certain teams and didn't want to play on those teams.
Yeah, but think about. That's still if you in comparison to his contemporaries, that
It's an interesting thing. I do think Melo's overrated first and foremost, but I'm not sure if this year has been fair to Melo because on the court I saw at worst a sixth man, off the bench, 15 to 18 points a game guy, depending on what team and system he goes to. And there are teams that I look at and I'm like, yeah, they could use a Melo. They could use a Melo. I don't know why he was drummed out of the league, basically. I
yeah,
can't figure that out.
yeah. That's that. If that does feel a little
Yeah, it's too
drastic.
and I think Melo's overrated. I do. I think Melo has been considered the best offensive player in the game when he was never close to the best offensive player in the game. I don't think Melo was ever as good as a Kevin Durant. I actually think LeBron James is a better offensive player than Melo. And I think he's way better now. With
Mm.
the healthy with the skill set that he's gotten. But I thought there were a bunch of players who were better offensively than Melo. I thought Melo was more of a
See, this is exactly the point that you're making right now is the same point that I was making about what you were saying about how players were talking about Kobe, right? Because the biggest proponents for Carmelo are players. The people who talk the most and give Melo the most respect are players. They know they don't care anything about the bad shooting percentages they don't care anything about that. Melo gets absolute respect from players. And so that's why I was saying when you were bringing up that about Kobe, I hear you that the players they're giving him this respect. Well, those same guys, that same group gives Melo almost the same level of respect.
no. They don't give Melo the same. Nobody thinks Melo is better than Kobe
No,
Bryant.
no, 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 no,
No
no,
one
no,
thinks
no,
that.
no, 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 no. I didn't. No, that's not what I'm
Melo's
saying.
not in
No,
anybody's
no,
conversation
no,
for the greatest.
no. That's not what
He's.
no.
I don't think I've ever heard somebody say he's you know, the
I've
person I fear
I've
playing
heard
the most.
I've
I've heard people say he's the toughest person to guard, but
toughest
there's a
grad. But
specific reason for that.
that's the same thing that you said about
People have said that
Kobe.
about no, people have said that about Ginobili. There's a difference between saying this is the person I like to face the least, and this is the person I have the toughest to guard. Because when it comes to toughest to guard personally, that has to do with a physical matchup. You know what I'm
But
saying? So
the
with
the
Melo,
point
you're
the
not
point.
saying with Melo, you should say, Draymond, I don't feel like dealing with that all day. He's too strong for me. That's the toughest you had to guard. When you say the person you least to face, like you wanted to face the least, that's I gotta play this guy tomorrow. Every time I play him, he gives me hell, blah, blah, blah. That's not an individual matchup thing only. And
That almost sounds like two different worded definitions for the same
it's
thing.
not two different word definitions because Kobe says the most difficult player he had to face was Tracy McGrady. He said he was me, but he was taller. But when you ask him who was the toughest player he guarded, he's like Melo is the guy who punished me the most physically. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're taking that, which a lot of people agree with, and conflating it with Kobe, which is all my career, the last person I wanted to see on the schedule was Kobe Bryant. It's two different things. People aren't saying that particularly about Melo.
I guess what my point is, there are players who are singing Melo's praises in some way, shape, or form. right? And I think that you think, and you're saying that you think that Melo is overrated, right? And I said the same thing in some ways about Kobe, not as much as Melo. And I'm not saying that Kobe's not a greater player than Melo. He is by far and away. But what I'm saying is, I brought that point up to say that you cannot always just say or throw that out as a validator that, well, the players say it. The players say a
Well,
lot of things that I
if
don't
Kobe
agree with.
didn't have 5 rings, go to the finals 4 times in a row, and then 3 times in a row, and have all of the accolades that he had, first team, all defensive, Olympic gold medals, all that other stuff, I would agree with you if he didn't have the accomplishments to back it up. Melo doesn't, which is why he's overrated. If Melo had all those things and exactly the same game eye test wise, we would be having a different conversation because he's accomplished so much.
Well,
Melo's accomplished absolutely nothing in his career
well,
for the relativity of his talent class,
I'm not,
which is
like I
why
said,
he's overrated.
like I'm saying, I'm not comparing Melo and saying he's as good as Kobe. Again, I'm not saying that. What I'm
You're
saying is,
saying he's as bad as Kobe relative to what people think of him.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you cannot use player opinions of other players and use that as a validator to support a point, because they're going to say things all the time that you don't, that just because players said it doesn't make it true. So my thing is, we're both saying that Carmelo is not the guy that players seem to. We don't think that he's the guy that players make him out to be. Players talk about Melo in high esteem. I can almost guarantee you that if you went to players in his during his era and said who are the top 5 players in the league, I would almost guarantee you that almost all of them would say he is in the top 5 players in the league
Right now,
during his whole time, like that during his career.
well,
Like
the thing about it
you're
is,
saying that you think
during
he's
his
overrated.
career,
You're saying you think
no,
he's overrated.
well, here's the thing. During his career, there are times where that has been a valid opinion. Now, I think that
Well,
opinion
then
is
how is he
wrong.
overrated then?
Hold on. I think it's wrong, but I don't think it's invalid during his career. You know what I'm saying? When the guy's averaging 25, 26 points, scoring outside, scoring inside, you can't guard his shot. He has an excellent first step and he's stronger than you. I get why they say that. And Carmelo in his prime was an absolute handful. I just think that Kevin Durant is more of a handful. And I think that people took what Carmelo was too far. I think Carmelo is overrated because people said at times that he was the best offensive player in the league, and I never thought that was true. That's specifically why I thought he was overrated. And it wasn't players who were saying that from my from my reference. My reference is people like Stephen A and stuff like that saying it. I'm not saying no player said it. I'm saying reporters and analysts also said they think Carmelo Anthony is the best offensive player in the league. And I think that was their lazy way of describing Carmelo without taking credit away from him, but acknowledging the fact that he don't play no defense. I always thought that Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, and later on Steph Curry were better offensive players than Carmelo Anthony. But if you felt that way, I could understand why, because he had versatility. At his height, he had a quick first step and was the strongest player at his position and didn't have terrible hops,
No,
right?
he didn't.
And
He was a handful as an offensive player.
and had an unguardable jump shot. Carmelo was unguardable in his heyday. But I still think he was I think you can be unguardable and the rest of your game leads up to you being overrated still. So I don't think players are wrong for at the time that he was at his height feeling the way they felt, particularly if they were the ones that had to guard him. But there's more to the game than that, and that panned out with his accomplishments, which is the main thing.
Yeah, I
He
don't know.
never beat those guys. He had the
I,
chance to beat those guys. He never did that.
I don't know that. I always talk about that, how that can't really be a apples to apples comparison, because we can't change the fact that Kobe played with Shaq. We just can't. We can't change that. That happened, and that was a humongous reason why he won so much. And so,
If Carmelo
there's only one
had
Shaq.
2 championships and a finals loss to the Boston Celtics with the big three, we would look at him differently. If Shaqless Kobe Bryant is still way better than Carmelo Anthony.
I would like to see. I mean, Gasol-less I mean,
Carmelo has played with
what
teammates who were as good as Pau Gasol.
who?
He played with Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups.
Oh, come on, bro. Allen Iverson, the 30-year-old Allen Iverson
Allen Iverson was averaging
who
25 points per
who
game.
admittedly had an alcohol problem at the time. Admittedly, like dude, their players and referees are saying he's on the court and the alcohol is reeking off of him during the Denver years.
He was averaging 25 points per game.
He was averaging, but we both know
he played with Chauncey Billups on
we
those teams.
both
Chauncey
know
Billups was excellent at that time.
Chauncey Billups is as good as Pau Gasol.
I think if Kobe Bryant played with Chauncey Billups, the years that he played with Chauncey Billups, he would have had an excellent chance to win a championship. I think Chauncey Billups would have been a phenomenal player to pair with Kobe Bryant. Phenomenal.
And Chauncey was older when
you
he played
give
with
me
Melo.
Chauncey, Kobe, Lamar Odom, and Andrew Bynum instead of Pau Gasol, and you give me some, just some decent forward who's like solid and plays D and get a shot.
They don't win.
I think that team gives.
They don't win. They don't win. I think you underselling Pau. I think underselling Pau.
I'm not underselling Pau. I think Pau is a very, very good player, but to look at Pau and say he's the reason Kobe got those rings,
no. I didn't say that.
Crazy.
I never said that. I said that that's a big factor.
Like when Melo was playing with Amari was beasting in New York.
And
he did have some back
already
injuries.
hurt himself. He had already hurt himself, and he wasn't.
There was a time they were playing together.
He never played with him. He never played with Amari when Amari was that Phoenix Suns Amari. He never played with that guy.
Amari, when he came to New York, was amazing, and there was a time when Carmelo was here that it just wasn't quite working for some reason. And it's because Carmelo's not as good. Again, same thing. If you give me the team with Tyson Chandler and Jason Kidd and Amari Stoudemire, and you just give me Kobe Bryant instead of Carmelo Anthony, they go farther in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see what happens with Melo and Shaq. I'd like to see what happens. I'm not saying it's the same thing.
Everybody wants to put Shaq with every other player. Shaq in his prime only won with Kobe Bryant.
I like to see. Well, I mean, Shaq with Miami wasn't his prime. He wasn't his prime, but he was really good. He was really good.
We all agree that Dwyane Wade's performance was one of the greatest finals performances of all time.
Absolutely, but
nobody want to take that championship away from Shaq.
But that big dude was still down there.
So let me ask you something: who was better, Kobe with Shaq or Shaq with Dwyane Wade?
Who was better, Kobe with Shaq or Shaq with Dwyane Wade? I think Dwyane Wade was better.
No. Who, in terms of Shaq and Kobe?
Oh, Shaq and Kobe. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. I don't know if I understand what you're saying. Ask it again.
If you compare Shaq and Kobe, Kobe as the second to Shaq, was he better than Shaq as the second to Dwyane Wade? Who was the better second option?
Who was the better second option? Oh, definitely Kobe. Definitely, 100%.
Then why is it Shaq got 4 rings? No question. Good job, Shaq. Kobe. Oh
no, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's Shaq got 4 rings, no problem. Give all the credit to Shaq. I don't think that at all. I think Shaq, as great as his career was, it's a little bit of a disappointment because I think it could have been better. I really think it could have been better. But my thing is, it's really hard to quantify playing and winning a championship with that guy, and you're the second option to that guy.
I don't think it's hard to quantify at all when, again, you're using second option as a generic term. But Kobe was making all first defensive teams, scoring upwards of 26 points, 29 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He was the main option in the fourth quarter because of Hack-a-Shaq. He was a great player. He was the point of attack against Sacramento and San Antonio several times because of the advantage that he had there. So you keep talking about him like he rode Shaq's coattails. That's absolutely not true.
I'm not talking about him as he rode Shaq's coattails at all. But
and you say it like if Shaq can't lose, like whoever you put Shaq with, he was gonna win.
Well, at that time, that Shaq, whoever you put Shaq next to, if they were a great player, they probably would have been in the finals.
I don't agree.
Dude,
because they almost lost to Portland.
Portland
almost lost to Sacramento.
Was a great team.
Exactly. So they had great teams they had to play against. We getting off track here. We
Yeah.
getting off track. Is Melo overrated? Yes, Melo's overrated. I don't think that means that he's a bad player or that he's a
Yeah,
bust.
yeah. I don't,
What
I
it
don't, I
means,
don't think that he's not. I
Melo
don't
did
not
not
overrated.
adjust his game the way he needed to. What he needed to
Absolutely.
do was be a bit better of a role player defender and develop a three-point shot. He didn't do those things.
Well,
Theoretically, there's still time for him to come back and have some David West years.
yeah, suppose. Yeah, but like I don't disagree. I was just making a point about using player. Uh,
But the point doesn't fly because it
it,
depends on
it
what they're
absolutely,
saying
it
and who they're
absolutely
saying it
doesn't
about.
fly. It
I'm not going
absolutely
to throw
flies.
out player opinion. I'm not going to take people who play in the league and say, no matter what you say, your opinion doesn't matter to me at
And
all.
I
There's no data.
and I agree. You can't do that. You cannot do that. But you exactly the same reason why it matters. It depends on the person. You threw out Stephen freaking Jackson and Kenyon Martin as people
I
to
still think that
validate what
I
a point.
first of all, I don't think Kobe Bryant needs validation, but I think Steven Jackson and Kenya Martin, the thing that I like about those guys is that they're competitors and they are guys who are known for being honest. Now, they can still be wrong.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You can
yeah,
debate that they're wrong,
yeah.
but it's valid that they feel the way they feel. Then you can analyze
Well,
those
that's
feelings and
that's
what they've been through.
anybody. That's anybody in
No,
the
because
world.
sometimes it's not valid. Sometimes, like for instance, Paul Pierce thinking he better than Dwayne Wade. That's not valid.
Well, Paul Pierce, like I said, I don't agree with him, but I think he has every right to say that.
But we
I don't
all
agree with
agree
him.
that he's saying it only because of his ego, because he has great player ego. Where it's like I'm not gonna give some guy that credit. I have to
I
believe that if
I think
because he's
he
talking
actually
specifically,
believes
he's
it.
talking about himself.
I think he believes it.
It's like listening to, Isaiah Thomas talk about Michael Jordan. Nobody trusts him in a Michael Jordan debate. We don't trust you,
I
right?
think
And to he,
I
yeah,
think he I think I think Paul Pierce believes that. Now, I think he's wrong, but I
but
think he
he's
truly
talking
believes it.
because he's talking about himself, so we know that he's extremely biased. So we take it differently than if he was, talking about something completely unrelated to himself.
I don't.
Same thing with Isaiah and Michael Jordan. Y'all hate each other. Y'all had a nasty feud. So when you talk about Michael versus LeBron and Kareem and Kobe, I'm not trusting your word because I know where your bias comes from. I'm not throwing player opinions out for no reason. I'm evaluating it based on the individual cases.
Yeah. I think it definitely does come as a case by case situation for sure.